what we do is really hard. Software development is, aside from raising children or possibly addressing some like major issues I had with my own self, has been the hardest thing that I've ever done. Yeah, I just wanted to maybe have a little bit of a chat, and I'd open it up to comments as well. I don't have any script or anything, but I had a little bit of an experience this past weekend. I went to an event with two of my kids and my parents, and we were trying to get on a train. And it was pretty stressful, and everyone's trying to cram in and get on the train. And my two kids get on the train, and my mom and my dad get on the train, and I'm left standing here, and it's starting to get packed. And I look down, and I notice there's a woman in a wheelchair who's also trying to get on. And there's literally, there's no room for anybody else to get on this train. It's about to leave, and my kids are on this train. And she was very upset, understandably. But, also being kind of rude, and just, she was very, very expressing herself that she was disappointed that nobody would let her on. I said, ma'am, I'm really sorry. My kids are on this train. I need to get on. And of course she gave me a piece of her mind. And my kids being teenagers, of course they were fired up about being talked to, and how rude this person was, and what gives them the right and all this. And I was trying to calm them down, but I was also having, probably some pretty ugly thoughts too. I said, we just need to take the high road here. Just calm down. It's not worth it. And one of my kids said, well, that's just being a pushover. It really started making me think that that's not being a pushover. It's being human. Can you imagine living your life in a chair? What would that daily experience like? How would that color how you see other people? You see this entire crowd of hundreds of people, and you're completely invisible to them. Nobody will even, look down and help you get on this train. Yeah, maybe that makes you bitter, and you might lash out, and you're going to get frustrated. While I tell that story, it got me thinking about what we do in our work, and how we spend most of our entire life is spent not with our family and friends, but with our coworkers, and how we can so easily vilify people who see things differently than we do. This is probably a boomer take here a little bit, but how polarizing, things like social media can be, and how it's almost become expected of us to have these extreme opinions and to very quickly pass judgment and cut people down who don't have the same opinion that you have, because that's what gets attention. That's what gets clicks or likes or whatever. And I myself, being on YouTube now, I've been guilty of maybe some clickbaity titles and things, so I can kind of understand. I mean, I saw this on LinkedIn just today, a post that was intentionally just inflammatory, kind of making an attack on anybody who gets comfortable in a job. This whole hustle culture BS. Why else would they make this post except to intentionally create controversy and get views and clicks? And of course, people just get all fired up and they chime in with their opinions. And it just seemed like such a waste of brain cells, a waste of energy. What I think has happened with some of social media is that it creates this abstraction, this destructive abstraction between two people. And it just makes it so much easier to be nasty and to be mean and to be super opinionated. This could be just me starting to get older and having done this for close to 25 years now. But I don't feel like there was always this level of antagonism in the workplace that I feel currently, and that I have actually felt myself against other people who don't think like I do in the workplace. And I wonder how much I've been influenced by social media in that way, or how much I'm just getting older and more crotchety. It is another person. It's another human being. They're not just a social media post. And you really have no clue what they're going through in their life. This is what got me thinking about what we do in software development. It's hard as hell. I mean, it's hard enough. And then I think we make it harder than it needs to be and we create this sort of antagonistic environment that we work in. Not always, and I'm not in an environment like that currently at my current job. Give yourself and give other people some grace for what they might be going through. This is just sounding very soapboxy and preachy, but I'm also talking to myself here. The more legitimate human connections and relationships we make at work, even though I'm definitely not a fan of calling work a family because it's not really a family, but these are other human beings that we're working with. And the more actual connections we can make with the people, the easier the job gets. And then if somebody does something you don't like or you disagree with, the easier it is to just have a conversation with them versus like going and churning up the gossip or just sitting and stewing on it and thinking about how wrong they were or whatever. So me as predominantly being a software engineer, but I've been in a lot of different roles too. I probably can empathize with people maybe more than others can. But that said, I still feel like I identify mostly with being a software developer. In the past decade or so, I really have been guilty of this dividing the line between it's the engineers and the team members, and then on the other side, it's the leaders and the planners and basically the people who don't have any clue how software development actually works. I've really come around to a different way of thinking there without having actually changed my opinion about how software development should work. But where I have changed is in seeing those people who have different roles. They have different sets of experiences that I have. They have business knowledge. A lot of them have run their own businesses or their own consultancies. They have experiences that I don't have. They know what it's like to have to go to a board meeting and talk about why we missed the deadline, that could impact the kind of funding that they get, or like actually be on the phone with a big customer and just get yelled at essentially, and threatened with leaving, or people who are in management type positions and who are in 6 to 8 hours of meetings per day. When they finally escape meetings, then that's when they actually have work to do as well. And then they go and do their work. And, maybe at 7 or 8 p.m., they finally get to sign off and spend some time with their family, as exhausted as they are. And so it's hard. Like we all have it hard kind of, in different ways. And I just think I am just trying to try to extend the olive branch more and try to relate to people better. We don't have to be miserable at work. And I think that that's something that most of us actually have control over. Now, there are such things as toxic environments and bullying at work and things that we shouldn't, stand up for, or jobs that we really just don't like that make us miserable. But when it comes to the people that we work with, I want to spend the next 20 years of my career actually enjoying myself and making good relationships with people. And that doesn't mean that just rolling over and allowing myself to be walked over. I'm still entering into debates if there's something I disagree with, or there's, a cause at work that I'm wanting to push, like test-driven development or CI/CD or some of these practices that I believe in. I'm trying to approach those situations now, those other people as human beings. I'm trying to put myself into their shoes. Why would a senior level, like a super senior staff level engineer, push back against doing test-driven development? I'm guessing they have a pretty good reason. They've tried it and it didn't work. Or why is this project manager, or sometimes it's a product manager, why are they so insistent that we do all this estimation and planning? What kinds of challenges are they facing? So rather than just taking an antagonistic stance, ask them, talk to them like, hey, I just want you to know from an engineering perspective, it's really challenging to make these estimates more accurate, but I want to try to understand, like, why is that important to you? Why is that important to the business? Let's see if we can figure it out. That's how I kind of want to spend the next half of my career, solving problems, but not like wrapped up in in angst and in frustration or fear. I mean, I've seen it and you've seen it. There's actual human pain involved with software development that has nothing to do with the challenges of building the software. It's almost always the way we structure the projects and the way people interact. I still do feel like the industry isn't totally broken overall, but there's some brokenness in the industry. In the last few videos, I've had a lot of good comments, and even some friends that I've met up with. One person in particular said, I really disagree. I don't think the industry is broken. I don't know, like maybe the tone of your videos kind of comes across as, painting this picture that it's really bad. Based on the comments that I'm getting in the videos, I think that my friend's take is actually in the minority of how people are starting to feel about working in this industry. And I've gotten a lot of comments, and I really feel for you if you're thinking about just completely leaving the industry and doing something else because you're so fed up. So I do think there's brokenness in the industry, and I don't know how to fix it, but I can't help but think that part of the fix is simple. And it may not be easy to do, but it is simple, and that is just reaching across the aisle, relearning like how to have debate, having some courage and speaking up if there's something that you have to say, about how, well, I don't like how we're doing this estimation. Can you help me understand why we're doing it? And there might be a better way. Relearning how to be human to your coworkers who you disagree with. Really, truly hope you're well. And again, leave some comments here. And I try to respond to each comment. I have had a lot of experiences and a lot of different roles. I might be able to help provide some direction, or maybe somebody else in the comments can help as well. So let's just be human. Thanks, everybody.